Most people think that zombies can only exist in horror movies, but this is a deep misconception. In the animal world, for millions of years, some organisms have been controlling the consciousness of others. Here I'll tell you about the most interesting of them. Toxoplasma. Let's start with Toxoplasma, a common parasite that lives in cats but uses various animal species, including humans, as intermediate hosts. Toxoplasma changes the behavior of rats and mice so that the smell of cats attracts them instead of repelling them. The poor animal becomes easy prey, which is beneficial for the parasite as it will be able to reproduce when its host is eaten by a cat. The infection is distinguished by its surgical precision, not affecting other fears of the rat, including fear of open spaces and suspicion of unfamiliar food. The most terrible thing is that Toxoplasma also has a negative influence on humans. Sometimes this parasite can cause schizophrenia, so stop kissing cats. Sexual transmission virus. A virus called sexual transmission is transmitted only between certain species of insects, for example, grasshoppers. The infected insect eventually dies, but before dying, the grasshopper's brain activity changes and it desperately wants to mate, which spreads this disease even more. Horsehair worm. No less terrible is the so-called horsehair worm, which develops in the body of crickets, but for reproduction it needs water. Therefore, sitting deep in the insect's head, it forces it to seek a body of water and then commit suicide by jumping into it. Fish parasites. There are parasites that prefer to live in birds, but to reach them they resort to incredible tricks. Finding itself in a body of water, the parasite penetrates through the gills into the brain of the stickleback fish and takes control of their body, forcing the victim to swim on the surface and attract birds. The infected fish is 30 times more likely to be caught by birds. As soon as the victim is consumed, the parasite finds itself where it wanted to be. Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. There is a variety of pathogenic fungi that infect and change the behavior of ants to ensure wide distribution of their spores. This parasite is called Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. This is exactly what inspired the creators of the popular game The Last of Us, where a mutated cordyceps affects people, turning them into something like zombies. In the real world, this fungus enters the ant's body through respiratory openings, where it begins to feed on soft tissues. When the parasite is ready to release spores, it forces the insect to climb to the top of a plant and attach itself to the stem. Then the fungus kills the unfortunate creature and devours its body, thanks to which it sprouts from the ant's head and then releases spores. Parasitoid wasps. Next we have parasitoid wasps, more precisely some species of them. These are parasitic insects found in Central and North America. The female lays her eggs in the body of a young caterpillar, and after hatching, the larvae feed on its entrails. Then they leave the body, attach to a leaf, and form a cocoon, but one or two larvae stay behind to control the caterpillar. Although still alive, instead of continuing its existence, it remains in place and arches over the cocoon, protecting it from predators. If the cocoon is disturbed, the caterpillar begins to thrash violently. In fact, the zombie caterpillar remains alive throughout the entire pupation stage of the parasitoid wasps. Almost simultaneously with the emergence of adult insects from the cocoon, the host dies. Emerald cockroach wasp. There exists the so-called emerald cockroach wasp that turns cockroaches into zombies. When the wasp is ready to lay eggs, it attacks the unfortunate insect and stings it twice. With the first sting, it achieves a reduction in resistance, and the second goes directly to the brain, where it releases toxins that block key chemical signals. This causes the victim to lose its sense of self-preservation, thanks to which the wasp, being too small to carry the cockroach, leads it like a dog on a leash to its nest, where it lays eggs in the insect's abdomen and seals it inside. Eventually, the hatched larvae safely devour the cockroach's flesh until it dies. Snail parasite. There exists a parasite whose eggs are contained in bird droppings. These droppings are eaten by snails, thanks to which the parasite finds itself inside the animal, where it grows into a large green worm. After this, it forces the snail to crawl to the top of a tree so that birds notice it. Thanks to the parasite's coloration, the snail becomes similar to a worm, which attracts birds. When a bird eats the snail, the worm larvae along with the droppings begin to search for a new lover of excrement. Spider parasitoid wasps. Another victim are some species of arachnids. The parasitoid wasp paralyzes the spider and lays an egg in its abdomen. The hatched larva feeds on the host's blood, while the spider, for a couple more weeks, suspecting nothing, continues to live its normal life. When the larva is ready to pupate, it injects chemicals into the spider, forcing it to build a web whose design differs from any other it has ever made. After this, the wasp larva kills and eats the spider to build a cocoon in the newly created web. There, the larva pupates, then matures and mates to begin the cycle anew. Sacculina. There exists a mollusk that turns crabs into zombies called Sacculina. The female larva attaches to the crab's claw, pierces it, and penetrates its entrails. Reaching the digestive tract, it begins to develop. From the parasite's body grow roots that envelop the victim's entire organism. After some time, a part of the parasite's body, similar to a sac, emerges from the crab. When Sacculina moves to reproduction, the host's behavior changes dramatically. The crab loses the ability to molt and reproduce, and begins to care for the parasite's eggs as if they were its own, carefully tending to them. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon.